thank you for joining us. Let me introduce you to our audience. So we would like to welcome Fani Peloumpi, a Greek professional Muay Thai fighter, kickboxer, and boxer who started fighting in 2009, had 29 amateur fights before moving to the pros, and has gone on an extensive record of 76, 23 and 1. So been a 4 times Greek champion, WMF world champion, WPMF champion, 2 times world Muay Boran champion. Many more. I can't even list it. Otherwise, we don't have enough time.
But the conditional.
Thank you for joining us. Before we also start, I want to remind our audience of that Fani has her experience store live on the SPRTER app, where all of you can collect some signed pictures, as well as request experiences with Fani, personal Zoom calls, some sort of sponsorship, or get to know her better. So head over to the SPRTER app, check out her profile there, follow her, and request some experiences. But let's dive in. How did you get started with fighting?
Okay, first I was 16 years old when I started. Some friends, they do Muay Thai, so they invite me in fighting. I go watch fighting and I like so much together with my sister. And together the next day we go in the gym and we start Muay Thai.
So there's got to be something there that, well, I like fighting and suddenly I become one of the best fighters in the world. So walk me through that in between, as in from that day when you started to go to the gym with your sister to where you are now. How did that develop? And you started fighting in Greece? And from there, how did you get to where you are now?
From the first day when I start, I know what I want to do, and I know what I want to be. I want to be a world champion, so it was my goal.
And suddenly it just happened. So I'm sure there's a lot of
very hard.
That's what I was thinking as well. So a lot of hard work in the gym, in actual fights. Can you share a little bit your training routine in a, call it quote unquote, a normal week, whatever normal is?
I run in 8 to 10 kilometers every morning. Yes, I do in the morning just shadow and kickback and pad work and exercise. In the afternoon, running less, maybe like 2 or 3 kilometers. I do jump rope about 15 minutes, sparring, clinching, pad work, and the back exercise. Yes, my training is about near 3 hours, morning and afternoon.
Okay, so 2 times a day, every day?
Yeah, every day, only Sunday you can stop. Sometimes Sunday only running.
Oh, only running.
And exercise also.
Okay, so that sounds very intense. Now, during those days, do you spar as well? Do you fight, or is it more the conditioning?
Sparring is just we try to work in the technique.
Okay, so that sounds very intense. Now, you started fighting in Greece and you built a part of your career there. What led for you to leave Greece? And when did you leave Greece, and how did you make that decision to leave?
If I want to grow up in what I do, I have to leave Greece, because in Greece is the sport and the most Muay Thai is they don't have opportunity. So if I want to grow up, I have to move in Thailand. I first come have in 2006 in Thailand. I have some amateur fighting first, and 2008 I come to fight only pro fighting.
Okay, so it was just because there is professional Muay Thai in Greece. Now you've been living abroad now for quite a while, right? You've been living
I
in
sorry.
Thailand for a long period of time.
Now I am 1 year and about 7 months in Thailand.
Okay. And do you sometimes go back to Europe and fight in Europe as well? Or are all fights in Thailand?
Before I travel, like about 16 years, go Thailand, Greece, fight sometimes in Europe. But now because of the situation of COVID, so I prefer to live here until I can, and then I go back one day.
Okay. Great. I want to dig a little bit deeper into some of the fighting here. You there are many different types of fighting. You got Muay Thai, kickboxing, boxing, bare knuckle boxing. What's the difference between those, and what is your preference and why?
Muay Thai is my style. Is what I do so long. Boxing is use only the pants, and bare knuckle is without gloves. Is too much different, and different experience for me was, yes, very good. And then 3 days ago, or 1 week ago, I fight MMA also. My first MMA fighting.
How was that?
Again, different experience because I had fight Saturday, and Wednesday I go fight MMA 4 days later without training MMA, just go fighting. I want to challenge myself to see if I can do something.
Okay, how did
And
that
of course,
go? And what was your experience there?
I lost, but I can see the difference.
Okay, so a good learning experience there.
Yes.
Looks like there are no bruises in the face, so that it
No, she
that
just
looks
give me 1 second. I don't know the name for my hand.
okay.
Amber.
So you've fought 100 fights. What's the most memorable fight in your career?
Hmm. I think my first time when I win my first belt in Greece. I have many really. My fight in bare knuckle. Many. I can say many.
How
So
about three? The top
about
three.
3. Okay. Okay. The first time the belt in Greece, bare knuckle fighting, and WPMF fighting.
And that why those three?
Because it was very emotion fighting.
Okay.
Yeah.
The first fight in Greece, was that more of a, hey, I'm here and this is something I'm actually good and I'm going to progress, because you were a bit younger then?
This fighting was with like superstar in Greece. I fight with superstar fighter in Greece,
Mm-hmm.
and she was different category of me, bigger than me. So no one believe I can win this fighting. The second for WPMF, I didn't train very well because I had some problems. So, but also I win my fighting. And
Mm-hmm.
BKFC also was again no one way I can win this fighting. Everyone they think I will lose. So yes,
Okay, so it's when you are not the favorite, when people don't believe you can do it, that and you show them that no, I can do it, and you won. That those are the memorable moments.
exactly.
Okay, that's great. Now, is there a time in your life when you thought about, you know what, I'm done. I don't want to fight anymore. I want to do something different.
Oh, I have said this many times really, but like I say today, okay, enough for me is I start to be tired, or sometimes I have many fights not fair, and say, okay, that's it, I will stop. But come the next day, it's like everything normal. Go to training, get ready for fighting, like nothing happened the days before, the day before.
And how do you overcome these difficult times when, you know, next day I'm just showing up again, like nothing happened, whereas the day before I'm like, I'm done, I'm quitting. Like, how do you overcome this moment of, oof?
How I can get up again, you mean?
Yes.
I many times I speak with myself, like, okay, you cannot give up because it's something you want to do and you love to do, and you can do it. Don't care what others say or thinking about you. You do it for yourself. So just go.
So self-talk is one way of coping with that.
Yes.
And you mentioned early on that you had that goal, I want to be a world champion. Is that something you remind yourself of in that self-talk, or how are your goals playing a role in this overcoming, basically getting back up?
It's something what I really want. So yes, I speak many times to myself, like, if you want it, you go get it. So do hard training, do what you need to do, and try to be the best, for you can have what you want. If you don't want, just stop to do what you do.
Okay. Now, in the sport of fighting, it's an individual sport, right? You don't have a team. It's not like football where you have the team and the fans follow the team. You have fans following you, but you also have other fighters. Like we know rivalry in football, it's Ronaldo and Messi. And is there a rival, so to speak? We're like, oh, I like this person, but I also like fighting. Or I don't like this person, but I like fighting them. Is there someone who you have that sort of rivalry with?
I watch many fighters. I like many fighters, like fighting style first, because I don't know, like person. For me, it's very important to look one good fighter, to look like good person or so. If you don't have respect or something like this, I don't like even they fight good. But yes, I have some fighters who I look. I don't want to copy them or something like this, but just when I watch them, I say, oh, this is like, how to say, sorry. I like to watch them,
Okay,
but I
and
don't like anyone, because I believe any fighter, any people is special.
okay, that is a very mature and healthy, positive way of thinking about other fighters. Um, who are some of these the most impressive fighters that you've fought against, where you're like, oh, I like this part, but I mean, this was really, really good. Is there someone who comes to mind immediately who like who you look up to, or when you say, hey, I'm following what they're doing, I want to learn from different techniques and what people are doing, and who are some of those people in the field that you really well, you're looking at and following along?
I'd say my truth is I not follow anyone. I don't try to do what the other do,
Hmm.
but what who I watch and I really like I said before, is like from Forena is Anissa Mexen and Iman Barlow. I have fight with both. They are very strong opponent. Also, my last opponent, Suris Manfrendi, who we fight in bare knuckles, is very strong, very tough fighter. So
Okay, so you don't follow anyone's like, I don't want, I myself, I have my own technique, but there you value what people are doing. Now, when you are when you're fighting, we see I guess you've been fighting for a long period of time now, and what we see in the field is, I guess, women's sport is getting a lot more attention lately. Is that something that is happening in fighting as well? And how do you see the field of fighting progressing over the last years?
Sorry, I don't understand.
So the field of fighting, how has fighting for women, how has it changed over the last years? Or has it
Okay.
changed?
I see now the most in Thailand, I think, because outside in Europe or another country, that for women was always okay, but now in Thailand start to grow up more than before. But still have one problem. It's like always in Thailand, woman they pay woman less than they pay the man. This is the one big problem, and I don't understand why.
Yeah, that is, I don't understand that either. Now, how is that impacting you living in Thailand now?
To live in Thailand is first it's good to live because the weather, all this, everything going slow, and it's good because have training and fighting, but also it's very difficult. Stay far from family, and if you don't have fight, your economy is not good because I live from fighting. So if I stay long time without fighting, for me it's difficult.
Okay, and that makes a lot of sense. Now, like, I've traveled through Thailand and I really enjoyed it, but I can see how that can be sometimes difficult. Now, you are also training, and or you are a coach, right? You're teaching others how to fight. What is your coaching approach? Who do you train, and what is your favorite thing about coaching?
Now in Thailand, I do only for fighting, but in Greece, I have my gym with my sister and my brother-in-law, who is Thai. I like too much. I training fighters. I don't like so much training amateur fighters, like no amateur fighters, people who don't want to fight. I prefer to training fighters and strong people who really want to training and not be lazy. And I like I like too much work in technique. I like to give them a technique.
No, that makes a lot of sense. As someone who has that ambition yourself, that you want to work with people who want to be the best.
Exactly.
Now, you just mentioned your sister and your brother-in-law have a gym in Greece, and you mentioned earlier that you started fighting with your sister. Have you ever fought your sister?
No. Everyone asks me this question. We don't have fight, but we have do many times sparring, and when we do together sparring, it's really very good sparring. And because our weight is near, and we are both professional, so sometimes we can do like very strong sparring and good sparring, but not really fighting.
No real fight. Would that start a family drama?
Yes.
I understand that. It's good to not have that type of drama in the family. So that's good to keep that away. Now, as part of that, you are growing up. I would assume in Greece there's not much fighting for women. So it's probably more difficult to have a role model when you grew up, but do you see yourself as a role model for younger, for the next generation of fighters?
I want to believe like can be is be like this.
And did you have a role model that you looked up to when you was like, oh, this person can do it, I can do it?
No, but what I always say for my opponent when I know it's a very difficult fighting, I say like, if she can do something, I can do also. Just this.
Ah, that I like that. As in that someone well, if your opponent can do this, so it's a that's a really good way of probably pushing yourself to try new things.
To fighting is for fighting. When I go for fighting, and I know it's my opponent is really strong, and sometimes I'm like feel like stress. I say, you don't need to stress. If she can do it, you can do also. Why not?
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I've got one question. So when you're fighting, you in Muay Thai, you can use well getting punched and getting kicked, right? So once you and there's this famous quote, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. That's from Mike Tyson, right? It's like you go into a fight with a plan, with a strategy, but then the elbows are flying, hands are flying, knees are coming towards you. How do you ensure that you stick to your plan, or how do you adjust your plan?
Okay, because in Muay Thai it's always like the first round is like playing for to know how your opponent playing. So in the first round you can see if you have to change your game plan or not. So always I go with strategy, always,
Mhm.
and I try to follow this. And like I say, I can see in the first round if I have to change or no. We can speak with my corner when I finish the first round.
And what factors do you think about or do you consider? Should I change or should I not change?
The most not change,
Most not change. And
yes,
why?
because it's what we have work and we know it's what I am good to do, so I have to follow this.
Okay. And what are some fights where you had to change? Did that work or did that not work so well?
I can't remember really so many fights. Um, I can say you only the few last fight, like what we say, we do exactly.
Okay, so there's also is there learning then that comes from a strategy learning as in hey this work because you fought a lot of fights, right? You have almost like you have hundred fights and you're sparring probably thousands of times. Is
Yeah.
that learning is helping you in those moments then?
Yes.
So you remember, oh, is there in a fight, in a specific fight, is there a moment when you're like, you go back to a previous fight and you're like, no, I did it this way in a previous fight. This is what I'm going to do now?
Right. I
Okay,
have like this.
that makes a lot of sense from a strategy perspective. Now, what's the sponsorships landscape looking like in Muay Thai fighting in Thailand?
Look, that moment I don't have sponsor.
Okay.
Uh, I had before, but now I don't have. Working alone without people nearing me for helping me for to find me some sponsor is difficult, and the most in this country because I don't know so many people. Yes, so now I don't have any sponsor.
Okay, so there's still, even though you are one of the top fighters, it's difficult to find sponsors. Okay,
I
that
need
is
to support myself, and it's something where really I cannot do it.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's difficult, but it's sad that someone at the highest level is still not getting sponsored in fights or via social media, etc. Now, that is certainly something that, as part of the SPRTER app, we are trying to connect our athletes with sponsors. We're trying to connect fans with the athletes so that the athlete can generate some additional revenue through some of these fan experiences. Now, I want to be cognizant of your time. I know it's getting late in Thailand, and you also mentioned that you don't have as much time tonight. So, is there something that I forgot, or something you would like to share with the next generation of fighters? So, what's that one takeaway that you say, hey, this is what every fighter should know, every young fighter should know?
Every young fighters have to know, they must have goals. If you don't have goals, you cannot go anywhere, and not be lazy to do it, to follow this. Yes, because many people want to be a champion, but just speaking, they no training hard, not do what they need to do to get the goals, to be a champion. Also must have a passion. I say right?
Yeah.
So yes, all this need time, cannot be from the one day to the other day a champion. You need time, training, and that's it. And never give up. You will feel tired, sometimes lazy. So it's normal.
That's great advice. Now, I want to follow up on one thing. That motivation, yes, you have a goal. Yes, you can't be lazy. But how do you motivate yourself over and over and over again?
Because I want to do. If look, when you have goals, it means you want to do something. So you have to follow. If you don't no have goals, just live a normal life. I don't know. Just go training normal, no press yourself. But if you want to be something in the sport, press yourself. Speak to yourself a lot. This is your goal. Go.
That is, I need to go to the gym now. This is really insightful. Thank you so much for joining the SPRTER podcast today. For all of us out here who want to be better, get your goals together. Don't be lazy, and be patient. I think being patient is one really important aspect that we oftentimes people forget, is that the success doesn't come overnight. That's a good way to remind ourselves as well. So great advice for the next generation of fighters. Thank you so much for joining the SPRTER podcast, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.